Real stories of life after death. We have all asked themselves the question of what occurs after death. We may have visions of a paradisiac setting populated by angels and departed loved ones. One finds consolation in the beauty of paradise when they are sad, because it gives one hope that there is life beyond death, not just a fantasy. There are many life after death stories in this world with proofs. According to research, sensations of leaving or returning to one's body, a sense of tranquility, blinding lights, and interaction with spirits or living people are typically present in near-death experiences. It is obvious that many people have claimed to have experienced visions or out-of-body experiences after their hearts had stopped, regardless of your beliefs regarding the afterlife. Here, we're looking at some actual accounts of people who survived death and came back to life and discussing life after death stories. Ernest Hemingway. While Ernest Hemingway was serving the American Red Cross in Italy during World War I, a mortar explosion seriously injured him. Hemingway appears to have briefly passed away, although he writes in a clear style. In his words, "I felt my soul or something coming right out of my body like you'd pull a silk handkerchief out of a pocket by one corner." He related the sensation to a friend. "It circled, came back, and entered again, but I wasn't dead anymore." Anita Moorjani. Here is another of the well-known true tales of Anita Moorjani, who survived death. After a 4-year battle, lymphatic cancer took Anita Moorjani's life in 2006. Although she was close to passing away, doctors thought she had reached her dying moments and were unaware that she was still alive. She stated that initially she felt as though she was floating above her body and had 360-degree peripheral vision of the hospital room and surroundings. She was unable to see her departed father, but she was able to sense his presence and hear his message. "He told me that if I go much farther, it will be hard for me to turn around. I had gone as far as I could. I didn't want to go back, though, because I thought it was so gorgeous. Because all the discomfort had finally subsided, it was truly great. There was absolutely no discomfort. All of the terror had disappeared. I was completely in awe. I also had the feeling that only love was all around me. Unconditional love." Nearly 30 hours after entering into a coma, Moorjani awoke. 2 days later, her organs started to function once again, and the tumor started to shrink. She no longer has cancer. Annabel Beam. One of the most well-known true tales of Annabel Beam's post-death resurrection is this one. Annabel Beam was diagnosed with 2 chronic bowel disorders at the age of 4, which were both life-threatening. At the age of 8, she was about to give up when a peculiar event occurred. When a branch broke, Annabel was suspended 30 feet in the air. She fell to the ground fully and was stranded there for 6 hours. She claims that after dying, she entered heaven. When Jesus said, "When the firefighters pull you out, there will be nothing wrong with you," I was seated at his feet. "The light was really brilliant," stated Beam. And in response to my inquiry about staying, he said, "No, I have plans for you to accomplish on earth that you cannot accomplish in paradise." Her illness was gone when she awoke. Dave Bennett. Dave Bennett was the captain of an underwater research vessel when he was thrown into the water one night in 1983. While drowning, he suddenly felt something that wasn't like anything he had read about in terms of the symptoms of oxygen deprivation. Light soon replaced the darkness, and as he started moving in that direction, he sensed an omnipresence that prevented him from feeling alone. He said, there were waves and waves of love just engulfing me in this wonderful embrace as I moved closer. I felt as like this love was actually implanted in my very being and transformed me into this being of life. It was the most incredible feeling I've ever encountered. And as I got closer, I could see countless millions of light fragments. Out of that, he saw what he thought to be his family, a second soul family, who shared various viewpoints of his life with him in addition to those he had on Earth. He spent 18 minutes underground before surfacing and receiving orders to resurrect in order to finish his goal. Tony Secoria. Here is another well-known true account of Tony Secoria's after-death resurrection. In 1994, orthopedic surgeon Tony Secoria used a pay phone while on vacation at a lake home to call his mother. When they hung up, he was still holding the phone in his hand when a blue flash emerged. He had no idea that a lightning storm was coming. Then, mysteriously, he felt his body suddenly lean forward. Secoria turned around and saw his own body lying on the ground. He was certain he was gone. Not to worry. Zero ecstasy, simply the truth. Secoria observes that his children have faces painted and believes they will be okay. Then a bluish-white light envelopes me, leaving me with an immense sense of serenity and well-being. Life's highs and lows passed me very quickly. I had the impression that I was accelerating and being sucked in. There was a tempo and a direction. Slam. I returned as soon as I told myself, this is the most incredible feeling I have ever felt. Actress Jane Seymour. While filming the 1988 film Onassis, actress Jane Seymour went into anaphylactic shock because the bronchitis medications she had been given were injected into a vein rather than a muscle. I had a vision of seeing a white light and looking down and seeing myself in this bedroom with a nurse trying desperately to save my life and giving me injections, and I'm calmly observing this whole event, she recalled. I remember looking down at this body that was mine, realizing I wasn't in it, and I absolutely understood the concept that your body is truly a vehicle, she stated in a subsequent statement. It needs the same maintenance as an automobile. Mary C. Neal. Orthopedic surgeon Mary C. Neal's heart stopped for more than 30 minutes after she almost drowned while kayaking in Chile around 20 years ago. I was greeted by a group of beings who were both familiar and unfamiliar shortly after leaving my body, she recalled. I know it seems absurd, but being with them gave me nothing but happiness and contentment. She claimed, at the same time that I was separated from my physical body, I was aware of both what was happening in heaven and what was happening on the riverbank where I had drowned. Instead of thinking about my career or other worldly issues, I focused on my spouse, my children, my parents, and my siblings. Lori. Here is another one of the well-known true tales of Lori, who survived death. Lori, age 19, was swept into rapids while rafting. She was ready to drown when she abruptly submerged and became aware of it. Then everything turned white, then dark, and she appeared to be traveling down a tunnel. Lori says, I could see a chamber around me made of pure white clouds, but it wasn't much. There were 3 shimmering crystal beings in the area. When light radiated through them like a glass prism, a rainbow was beginning to appear. One of the 3 who spoke to me was larger than the other 2. They seemed to be aware of my apprehension towards them. They turned into what I recognized as angels right away. They were made of fiber optic cables and had strands, but they weren't actual bird wings. Colors of every hue were produced by the pure light that streamed through the threads. When they spoke, they did so through telepathy. She was shown a golden field with a tree, a nearby lake, and exquisite music by the angels. She was brought to safety by a rescuer on a kayak. Eben Alexander. Neurosurgeon Eben Alexander developed meningitis, which only hits 1 in 10 million individuals, and fell into a coma in 2008. His doctors predicted that he had a 10% chance of surviving. In it, he said, it worked as a conduit up into rich and ultra-real realms, and I saw a gently spinning clear white light connected with a beautiful song. The Gateway Valley was filled with many earth-like and spiritual features, richly blossoming flowers and buds and no signs of death or decay, waterfalls into sparkling crystal pools, thousands of beings dancing below with great joy and festivity, all fueled by swooping golden orbs in the sky above, angelic choirs emanating chants and anthems that thundered through my awareness, and a pretty woman flying on a butterfly wing. After being unconscious for a week, he awoke with no lasting damage to his brain. You can see that different people have had varied types of NDEs as a result. A tremendously powerful entity in and of itself is the human brain. When a person is in extreme agony, their subconscious mind might create images that are appealing. Particularly when witnesses claim to have seen loved ones, it is the brain's way of comforting the hurt. Humans are capable of explaining anything, but until we have a strong defense for the two realms with closed doors, we are at a loss for words.